Hi everyone, thank you for coming to Final Review. We are Team Back to Backpack. So we are a continuing project. What does that mean? Well, basically that means that we approach the design process a little bit differently than a lot of the other teams have already described to you. So our overall goal for this project that we've had over the 3 semesters of this project's iteration is how can we help 5th grade students easily organize and carry around all their necessary materials in a single consolidated manner. So these are the steps of the design process: identify, immerse, reframe, ideate, build, and test. Our first semester, which was fall of last year, we focused on the first 4 steps. So we looked at the problem space, figured out some basic ideas about what Westview Elementary in particular needed, and we did build a low-fidelity prototype, but primarily we were focused on those first 4 steps. Our second semester, which was spring of 2017, we focused primarily on build and came up with our first prototype, which is sitting right over there. And this semester, we focused a little bit more on testing, coming up with longitudinal and usability tests, that we've also built a second prototype as well.
Okay, so like Sam said, we are a continuing project, so we will give some background about the semesters prior to this. This project started 3 semesters ago when Westview Elementary School, which is a local school about 10 minutes away from Rice, approached DFA with a problem of space efficiency and organization issues in the classroom. So it was super obvious, even just with one site visit, walking in the classroom, that students had all kind of wacky organization systems with like giant binders and tote bags and all strewn about with like straps getting tripped on by the teachers and students, and it was honestly really dramatic. But this was the problem that we were tasked to face using the design process. So we realized that this is kind of a twofold problem where there are 2 people affected, or 2 like user groups affected by the space efficiency and organization issue. So on one hand we have the students, but then on the other hand we have the teachers. So first, focusing on students, we created this kind of hypothetical average 5th grade student, Matthew Westergreen, and his goal is to do well in school, which includes staying out of trouble for having disorganized materials or losing homework. And his pain points are that he has many different classes that have many different teachers, and he also faces the issue of tripping over belongings that are all around the ground in class. And then on the other hand, another user of our potential solution would be the teachers. So we have a hypothetical user persona, Ms. Dewfeather, and her goal is to spend more time teaching and less time organizing. So this includes being able to walk around the classroom with minimal disruption. Her pain points are her kids taking a long time to get ready for class and not being able to walk around with ease.
So we have some key insights that we found from this, and one of the biggest one was among 5th grade teachers at Westview, 5 out of 6 said it's not easy for students to move around the classroom. And this was a big issue because Westview's system is that some classes students need to move around the class, or teachers need to also just move around. So we found that if we helped organization for Westview, it would also help the school performance. So we had 4 design goals that we came up with originally. And those 4 were space efficiency, organizability, low body impact, and durability. And the parts in orange are the solutions to these goals. So we had a kickstand for space efficiency, thinking about main compartment and a file folder for organizability, and padding and 2 straps for comfort, and durable materials so that the bag can last a long time. So this is our first prototype. It's over there, the bag on your right. Yeah, it's a little worn out, but she's still good. As you can see, it has all the features that we mentioned in the previous design goals. So we looked at some of the preliminary feedback from Westview. Many students wanted a front pocket, and this was kind of a universal opinion. Many students said the fit was uncomfortable. This may have been due to the padding or the straps. Many students did not use a file folder within the 1 day, but they thought it would be useful in the future. And the backpack was able to fit under the chairs, which was one of our goals.
Okay, so moving forward to this semester. So the overall kind of how can we statement that was guiding our process was how can we help 5th grade students easily organize and carry around all their necessary materials in a single consolidated manner. So our semester goals was kind of two-part, was to clean up the design and also create a test plan. So for the first part, I guess we kind of went through the design process twice in the sense that we were creating a modified backpack and as well as the test plan. So our design, how can we modify aspects of the current design to reduce statistical noise from identified design problems for our testing prototype? So after discussion, we kind of had this design outcome, and these are the changes that you see right here in terms of adding a front pocket, adding elastic to the water bottle pockets, reducing the angle between the stand and backpack to take up less space, floor space, and to remove the top of the accordion folder. And some drawings and yeah.
So moving into our testing phase of this semester, we came up with a how can we statement of how can we create and conduct usability and longitudinal tests that will provide quantifiable data and meaningful results about the backpack. So through our research, we realized that there are two types of tests that we could conduct. The first is a usability test, which basically tests if the backpack is being used the way we think it'd be used. The second is a longitudinal test, which tests if it's actually solving the problem. This semester, we decided to focus on usability tests. So we came up with a couple of design goals that we felt were really important for our tests to follow, and that is it should be objective, it should be repeatable, and it should produce quantifiable data. So going through the design process, we ended up coming up with one single usability test. Now, this usability test is meant to mimic things people would do in daily life. So we actually mimic things people do in school, at home, and even moving from school to home and home to school. So basically, our test consists of multiple subtasks. And an example of a subtask that we could give the participant is, here are the materials that you'll need for a school day. Now pack your backpack. And this is something that we all do every day. But the goal of this subtask for us is to see, first, do they use the drawstring? Do they use the buckle? And we assess their organizability. Are they using the file folder? Are they putting the pens and pencils in the side components, in the front pocket? Do they even use all of the components that we have in the backpack? Each subtask has a goal, and it's laid out similarly like this. And through this, we hope to analyze how people would naturally use the backpack. So tying it all together with our backpack prototype, this is the second one, and our testing suite, we'd like to ideally go ahead and conduct these tests in various settings, at schools, maybe at a university, etc.
So lastly, I want to finish up with future work. So going forward, as this project may or may not continue next semester, if it does continue, we want to focus on elementary and middle schools primarily in the local Houston community. And expand beyond the scope of just Westview Elementary alone. So I've already reached out to more than 20 schools in the local area and actually had some pretty good feedback. I heard from Lanier Middle School yesterday that they are very interested, and we're currently working on setting up a time to meet with them, and hopefully if the project continues, we will be testing with them next semester. So now I'd like to open the floor up to questions. Thank you so much for listening to our presentation.
So specifically at Westview Elementary School, the school we've been working at for 3 semesters, so in elementary schools, like right now, they have these kind of highly recommended systems. Right, they currently recommend those big binder things that have like a million compartments, but are kind of difficult to carry around. You can't wear them as a backpack. So from their perspective, they ideally would want to add it to their like list of required things, like the start of 3rd grade or whatever grade they are required to get a certain set of materials. But moving forward, I think it would be a school-to-school basis, since it's not something that is really part of our design goal to like have implemented in like the hands of every single student. Any other questions? Maddie?
So one of the things that will be looked at in future tests is like stress tests. So we'll be, putting things in the bag, seeing how it fits, where the seams might have need reinforcements, and also in terms of material selection, that's something that in the future that we would have to look at. There are industry standards for materials. Whenever we buy things, they tell us, different mechanical statistics about the material. So that's one of the things that we would have to rely on when we're looking at how durable is this bag and how long can it last in the future.
So actually, in our first semester, modularity was one of our main design criteria that we actually wanted to look into because that's something that we realized ourselves. However, it became difficult to start thinking about all the different kinds of people's organization styles, and so we ended up narrowing it down to just focusing on problems most of the students in 5th grade at Westview Elementary School face. But going off of modularity, the kickstand, for example, is actually modular. You can take it out. And as we progress with the design, that is something that we'll be thinking about further and further. We've talked about making the front pocket modular, detachable, and things like having the file folder also detachable. So as we move forward and as we are sure that this project will move forward, that is probably something that we'll be looking into as well.
Also, one of the points that was brought up by one of the mentors that we talked to was that we have our organization systems, like every college student knows what they want when they're organizing things, but kids don't really know how to organize. They don't have their own system yet, they're too young. So in a way, they don't know what's good for them, so having a unified way of organizing things may be a better fit for 5th graders at least.